What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hangout spot where you already know it's real talk, boxing talk, live from my man cave. It's your boy Johnny. I'm your host for another edition of the Hangout Spot Live. This time, the Tuesday night edition. And thank you for those that rocked out with me last week. We had two shows last week, two banging guests. On Tuesday, we had Just in Time Figueroa, who is a super welterweight prospect, 11-0, 9 KOs from Atlantic City, New Jersey. He was in the building, and he's going to be fighting on March 22nd. So this Saturday, he will be fighting at the Tropicana in New Jersey. He's a really, really bright young man with a bright future. It was a great interview. If you didn't check it out, make sure you check it out at the Hangout spot where it is there for you to be able to check it out at your convenience. And then on Thursday, we had the man, Cornflake Damana, Thomas Cornflake Damana, middleweight veteran. He was in the building as well. Great dude, great insight on not just his career, because he's had a career that has spanned over 14 years, or just about 14 years, 46 fights in, and he's fighting, he's promoting, and he gave us not just, again, his career insight, but he also gave us a little bit of an insight of the business of boxing. Because let's not forget, he was supposed to fight Jamal Charlo on the Tank Roach undercard, and that fell through. So he gave us his perspective, on how PBC operates. So if you did not check out that interview, make sure you check it out, at the Hangout spot on YouTube tonight. We got another great guest. We got DAZN boxing personality, OTX broadcaster, host of Ring Champs on All the Smoke. We got my man Akin Reyes in the building. And hopefully he'll be joining us in just a little bit. But I've been rocking with Ak for quite some time, since he started doing the Ak and Barack show on DAZN, man. And he's one of those guys, man, that inspired me to start doing this whole boxing podcasting thing, man, because, I love his insights in boxing. He has a great flow, a realness to him, man. He's a real one. And he delivers not just great content, but great delivery, when he does that. Good chemistry with Barack, and he asks all the good questions. So, I've tried to model my style, after Barack. I'm sorry, after Ak and Barack, because they're both excellent at what they do. And but we got Ak in the building in just a little bit. He's not here yet, but hopefully he'll be joining us shortly. But you know the deal, man. You know the deal. There's ground rules here at the Hangout spot. If you are watching this live on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button, as it will help with the visibility of the channel. This is 2025, and we're looking to get this channel out into the algorithm of other boxing fans so that they know we rock out every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm also thinking about adding a third show, because we got hella guests, that are looking to come aboard the Hangout spot. And you know me, I want to deliver the best content possible for my subscribers, for my followers. So make sure you subscribe, man. Make sure you like, and make sure you subscribe. More importantly, tell a friend to tell a friend. If we're looking to turn this train into a locomotive, we're going to need more passengers on this train. And last but not least, you know the deal. I do not rock out here alone, regardless of whether I'm here in studio alone, regardless of whether I have a guest. I love to get my chat involved. So the free chat is open. And if you want to send a donation, the super chat and super sticker option is also there.
Straight cash, homie.
But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm looking forward to chopping it up with Ak. Hopefully he'll be on in just a little bit. But man, last week was one busy week for me, man. We did two shows, but last week on Monday, I actually started my evening at the Pro Box facility, because it was the last night of Edgar Belanga's training, or walkthrough, so to speak. It wasn't necessarily a training. Again, it was more about, cardio, trying to help, trying to cut some weight, before his fight this Saturday at Caribbean Royale. So I spent some time with Edgar. I spent some time with Mark Ferre, his trainer, and I did interviews live with Edgar. I did interviews with Erickson Lubin, the Hammer, who's going to be making his comeback on May 10th in Orlando. He's going to be fighting for an IBF title eliminator. You also got some of other Mark Ferre's fighters that are going to be in that card, who I also spoke to. Darrell Blastfowl Saint, who is a middleweight prospect, 12-0 with 10 knockouts. I did an interview with him, and I actually released that just a little while ago, earlier this afternoon. So if you have not seen any of those interviews, the Edgar, the Lubin, the Mark Ferre, the Blastfowl Saint, check them out at the Hangout spot. They are there, and make sure you share them. You know what I'm saying? Because this is how we do it up. We're trying to deliver the best content, not just here on the live shows on the podcast, but you know me, man. I'm out in the field, boots to ground, getting that work in, man. But I didn't get home till about 2 o'clock in the morning. Didn't get in bed till about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was a little charged up. And then I had to work the next morning. Then we did a live show. That's when we had Just in Time on Wednesday, cutting up videos. We had a Thursday show. But during the day, Thursday, I was at Media Day. So again, good content that I delivered there. I actually did another interview with Edgar where he talked about Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and feeling disrespected, by what they did in the final fight of his contract by putting him against, Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz, also known as Mantequilla, in the co-main event. He was actually looking for a main event headliner March 8th in Puerto Rico, which is what he said they promised him, a few months back. And check out that interview, man, because like I said, man, he aired out, his disdain and what he felt as disrespect to him from Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. Supposedly they were going to get him a fight, or he is saying that they were going to get him a fight against William Skull. And then I interviewed Eddie Hearn, who on the other hand, said that they weren't trying to get him a fight with William Skull. They were just trying to fulfill the last fight of the contract, and they just couldn't find him an opponent to be able to go to Puerto Rico and sell out the 16,000 venue arena in Puerto Rico. So I don't know. Like I said, in boxing, I always say, man, there's three sides to every story, right? There's one side, there's another side, and then supposedly they meet in the middle with the truth. So you just don't know, what went on with that. But I spent some time with Edgar, and you get the feeling that this was promised to him. This was promised to him. That fight in Puerto Rico, and for some apparent reason, they couldn't deliver it. So, this is a business of boxing. Like I told Edgar, just knock this one out the park. You know what I mean? Just get that last fight out, in the contract, and then you could go into free agency, and kind of pick and choose what your next move is going to be. And it certainly looks like he's going to do that. Shout out to Edgar, for a first round stoppage over Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz. He did exactly what he needed to do, exactly what most boxing fans were expecting him to do, what he was expecting himself to do. So another first round knockout, and now it's on to bigger and better things. Hopefully, a big fight down the road. That's what he's trying to look for. But the story will be, who is he going to sign with? Who's going to be his promoter? Going forward, because we all know in the business of boxing, it's a lot easier when you have a promoter that's navigating, with other promotion companies and networks, or unless he intends to just do that on his own. I don't know, but it'd be interesting because whether you love him or you hate him, whether you respect him as a fighter or not, he's must see TV, and he is a box office draw. He's a box office draw, and there's a reason why, fighters like Caleb Plant, are calling him out. They're calling him out for a big fight because they know that obviously Edgar's a money draw and they're going to be able to make some good coin together. So there's a lot of options there. Edgar did say that his priority, if all goes well with Munguia against Suras and the rematch May 3rd, he'd like to be able to get that fight. He'd like to be able to get the Jaime Munguia fight and make it a Puerto Rico, Mexico, all-out battle. I love that fight stylistically. I think it would make for fireworks. But he also mentioned potentially again down the road getting that fight with Caleb Plant, who he's made it clear he does not like, and he also wants to potentially fight Jamal Charlo. Who knows when Charlo is going to come back? I don't know, if that fight will ever happen. But there's definitely a lot of options, for Edgar. So his team is going to take his time, and they're going to kind of figure out where they go. But he made it clear, man. He made it clear to me he doesn't want any more of these type of opponents. And no disrespect to Mantequilla, but but that's definitely a guy who shouldn't be in the ring, with Edgar. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But it was a good night. It was definitely a good night at Caribbean Royale. The crowd came out. It was packed, man. It was packed. I mean, they didn't even have concessions inside of the arena venue. I mean, they had the concessions outside, so people had to go outside. Luckily, it was a gorgeous Florida night. It was in the mid 70s, so it was gorgeous. But you had to go outside. If you wanted a beer, you wanted a drink, you wanted food, you had to go outside and then come back in. So it was kind of weird. And the reason why they did that was because once they added Edgar to the card, you had to add more seating. And it was packed. By the time Edgar came out, it was packed, and a lot of fans stood. Man, there was there would talk that after Edgar fought in the co-main event, that a lot of fans would leave and not care about the main event between Ammo Williams and Patrice Volnoy. And but nah, a lot of fans stood, man. There were some that left, not a lot, but there was some that left. And then so congratulations also to Ammo Williams for his victory. Shout out to his trainer Kevin Cunningham as well, who showed me love this week. At the media day, we're looking to help potentially get Kevin Cunningham on the show. I just reached out to him, so hopefully we'll be able to get him on soon. He is a trainer extraordinaire. You know the deal. You know, he's trained some of the best fighters out there. And good looking, you know, like I said, shout out to Ammo Williams, good performance. It wasn't the most exciting fight, you know, to watch, but he did what he needed to do in that fight, won the main event. And then a lot of people stood for my man, Pretty Boy Pablo Valdez, who they swung. He was supposed to be the second fight in the prelims. They actually swung him to the end. And I don't know if that was strategically done to make sure that fans stood to see him, because Pablo, again, he has a strong following. A lot of people from New York came out. There were celebrities that came out. You know, Yandel was in the building. Luael was in the building, you know, to support Pablo and Edgar. So, you know, I don't know if they did that purposely, but it worked because, again, a lot of fans stood to see my man Pretty Boy Pablo Valdez fight, and he didn't disappoint. As always, he's now 9-0 with 8 knockouts. He stops his opponent, Godoy, in the fifth round, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was either 5 or 6, but he did what he needed to do and handled business. So both him and Edgar, who are very, very tight and close friends, they both score stoppages on the same card, which I thought was pretty dope. In fact, yesterday, while I was on the panel of the Boxing Voice, we actually had Pablo Valdez on. I'm also trying to get him on here as well. I think his story is extremely fascinating. He's 41 years old, but he basically got his career started after making mistakes and spending, you know, time in prison. So, you know, and now he's doing the right thing. You know, he's fighting, he's into real estate. So I just think it's a very, very inspiring story. So I definitely want to look to get him on. He's my guy, you know, shows me a lot of love. You know, those guys are like family to me. So we'll try to make that happen. We'll try to make that happen. But it was great. It was a good night. Overall, it was a good night. You know, a lot of good, you know, good people that I was able to make contact with, you know, and this is why I love doing these events, man, because it's all about networking. And shout out to all, you know, my subscribers and viewers that were actually in the building that came out, you know, to say what's up, to show me love, man, to meet, shake my hand, take some pictures, man. I appreciate y'all, man. I really do, man. You know, y'all made it feel special, man. What's up? I got my man, the Boxing Maniac, up in the building. What's going on, my brother? Salute to you, man. Thank you for rocking out, man. I also got my brother, MB Productions. Mr. B was in the building with me. We got a chance to chop it up. I appreciate you, brother. We spent some time just talking. You know, we known each other from DMs. It was almost like we've known each other for years, but we never had that face-to-face meet and greet. And we did it up. And I appreciate you, man. You know, Mr. B hooked me up with a nice T-shirt, which I'm not wearing today, Mr. B, but I probably will have that on Thursday. So make sure you check out Thursday's show. But I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you always showing me love, you know, and supporting the channel, man. This is you guys are the reason why I'm doing this, man. You guys keep me motivated, man, to continue to go out there and put out really, really good content. We got my sister, Superwoman 607. Sis, I appreciate you. You are always here rocking out, man. I definitely appreciate you. Let me just respond to this message here. And I just want to see if Ak is gonna be able to come on. I know we DM'd earlier and he said he was good, but you know, sometimes things happen. So we'll see how that plays out. Eddie Alvarez, what's up, man? My bro, man, I appreciate you joining me, man. You're always out here showing that support, man. You know, like I said, you know, my viewers, they come out. They come out. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully I could get Ak up in here, man, because this is gonna be a one hell of an interview. He's doing some really, really good things. You know, again, you know, I've been rocking with him since the DAZN days with the Akin Barak show. And they used to have all the big names on there in the sport of boxing. It inspired me, man. Inspired me to start doing this stuff. There were many people that inspired me. He was one of those many people. And I just love the way he delivers his content. And I try to do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I try to make it extremely comfortable, you know, overly comfortable if needed for my guests so that they feel welcome here at the Hangout spot and they definitely want to come back, you know, and chop it up, because you know the deal, man. Once you come to the Hangout spot, you are family. You subscribe to the channel, You are family, to the Hangout spot. So, but yeah, he's doing big things now. He's doing big things. They just started this podcast on it's the Ring Champs. It's the Ring Champs with Ak and Barack. It's on All the Smoke Fight. You guys know the deal. That's a channel that you see interviews done by Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, former basketball players. Andre Ward is also a part of All the Smoke, and he has a great podcast as well where he brings in fighters. And now Ak and Barack, they have that platform there called Ring Champs, and they just got it off the ground. I believe it was a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, probably less than a month ago. They've had Teofimo Lopez on. I believe that the Ryan Garcia interviewed, or at least a clip of it. I saw a 5-minute clip of it earlier today, dropped on YouTube on their channel. So they did a really, really good interview with Ryan Garcia. The clip that I saw, the 5-minute clip that I saw, Ryan Garcia was talking about his issues, before the Devin Haney fight, the fact that he was drinking, that he was drinking on the day of the fight. The fact that after that whole thing, he was spiraling out of control, taking mushrooms. He got arrested. So they went in depth with that. They asked some good questions, and Ryan Garcia opened up. So I can't wait to see that whole interview. I'm going to check after this show and see if it's the entire interview is there. Like I said, I only saw a 5-minute clip of it. So I don't know if the whole interview was released today or if it's going to be released tomorrow. But either way, man, they're putting out some great, great stuff. Some great stuff, man. We got my man VINYC. Johnny, what's up, fam? Right back at you, fam. Thank you for rocking out with us here on a Tuesday night, man. We got the Tuesday night edition of the Hangout Spot Live. We are live and direct. Can you ask Ak what he does to stay in shape? I like hearing what kind of workouts people do to stay in shape. Absolutely, if we get him on, yeah, we'll definitely ask him that. I just send him another DM. We'll see if he responds. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if something went down, but we are working on it. If you have not, smash that like button. Make sure you smash that like button as it will help with the visibility of the channel. We got to get this bad boy out into the algorithm of other boxing fans so they know we rock out 2 times a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you missed in the beginning, I said we're looking at possibly adding a third show, maybe a Wednesday night show. So we might be going to Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays because there's hella guests I'm looking to get on, man. And, it's probably going to have to take an extra show, but that's all right because I love doing this. And I know that y'all love coming here, seeing these interviews and these, and this great content that I'm trying to put out for all of y'all. So, we'll see. We'll keep you definitely posted. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Let everybody know, your friends, family members, tell a friend to definitely subscribe to the Hangout Spot. This is where it's at in the year 2025 and going forward. Last but not least, let's get the chat open. Like I said, guess or not, I don't rock out here alone. I love to get my chat involved. We do this together. So definitely continue to get the chat going. We got my man Raymond Moore. Salute to Johnny at the Hangout Spot. Raymond Moore, right back at you, brother. Salute to you as well. Thanks for rocking out with me on this Tuesday night. And VINYC, what about calls? It's funny you say that. I did mention that a couple weeks ago. I'm looking to get to make a show where I take calls. But I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out what software. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to be regular calls, that I can run through the mixer, or maybe it's the link where I can have people jump on. I'm not sure. It might be the phone call deal. It might be better because, again, some people are not accessible, to be able to jump on where they're at. But I still want, to give people the option to be able to call in and voice their opinion on some of the topics, that we're going to be talking about. Another reason why I want to add an extra show, because I just want to have a call-in show. There's going to be topics. There's going to be many, many fights, that we're looking to preview, that we're looking to recap, so I'd like to be able to get my callers, my members to come in and call and just chop it up, and give their perspective other than me reading out chat. So we're looking into that, VI. Right now, I'm looking at possibly launching something in April. Give me a couple more weeks to kind of figure that whole thing out because the deal. I want to do it, but I want to do it right. And I want to make sure it works and it works for everybody. I don't know if I'm going to go through a Discord and just create a Discord channel where people are going to jump in. So we'll figure all that out. we'll figure all that out. But let me tell you something. If you guys got suggestions, feedback, you can give me suggestions on different platforms. Feel free to send me a DM, man. If y'all not following me on IG, that IG handle is up there. It's the Hangout spot on IG with the underscore after the and the underscore after the Hangout. Send me a DM, man. Send me a DM. Give me some suggestions of what you think we need to do better, to make these shows even better for my viewers, man. But we're looking into that, man. What's going on, Mr. B? They added seats to accommodate more people at Caribbean Royale, a whole section. Yo, I'm glad you brought that up because again, I mean, it was a good night, but there was a lot of hiccups, man, which is really unlike an event at Caribbean Royale. As you guys know, Caribbean's like my second home. I've worked many, many fights there in the last year, with a couple of different promotion companies, Most Valuable Promotions, PBC, Box Lab Promotions, Undisputed Promotions. This was actually the first one that I've worked at Caribbean under Matchroom Promotions. And there were a lot of hiccups, man. There were a lot of hiccups, especially my man, Mr. B, who had a ticket for ringside section 12. And we go and we try to find his section, and there's no section 12. There's a 9, 10, and 11. There's no 12, man. I kid you not.
This is nasty.
That shit was nasty work. I'm like, yo, Champ, bro. They left you. I don't know where your seat is at, bro. But they sold you a ticket that doesn't even exist, man. But they moved some seats around. After the first prelim fight started, they were bringing seats out. So I don't know if they were adding more seats because they sold more tickets than expected. They did switch some seating around. My man, Mr. B, did get a nice seat at ringside, right by the ring walk. So he was chilling, but we laughed it up over that, man. That was dope, man. That was actually dope. The bomb now with MVP. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's one of the things that I wanted to get Ox take on and I wanted to talk about, man. Shout out to Alicia Bumgarner, the bomb, man, signing with Most Valuable Promotions, man.
Straight cash, homie.
And you got to give it to Jake Paul, man. I mean, he's doing it up for the females. Look at what he's done for Amanda Serrano. Look at what he's done for Katie Taylor. I mean, they're going on a trilogy. I mean, the last one, they both made in excess of $6 million. This one, you best believe they're going to make more than that. They're fighting in the big room at the Garden. They're going to sell out the big room at the Garden once again. So you know they're going to make bank. This is a third one. People want to see it. Both the first and second fights were action-packed fights. There's not going to be any difference in the third fight, man. These two, they don't make boring fights. They don't make boring fights. So but now he's got Alicia Bumgarner. So her career, man, from a financial perspective now, in my opinion, is going to take off. I mean, she's already an undisputed champion, unified champion. And now with Jake Paul, I mean, like I said this, many a times, man, whether you like Jake Paul or not, whether you respect him as a fighter or not, one thing you have to respect him for is he's an excellent businessman and he's doing big things for Most Valuable Promotions. He's putting Most Valuable Promotions on the map and he's getting people good fights on really, really good platforms, whether he's on those platforms or not. I mean, look at what he did, versus Mike Tyson. God knows how many people, over 60, 70 million people on Netflix, tuning in to watch him against Mike Tyson, a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Sold out Dallas Cowboys Stadium. There's about 80,000 people up in that joint. Amanda Serrano against Katie Taylor Part 2, the co-main event. By the time that fight started, from what we heard, there were about 50 million people watching on Netflix. In fact, Netflix broke, man. My shit froze. Everybody's shit froze. I was actually doing a live boxing chat on the Boxing Voice, and there were about 4 of us on the panel, if I'm not mistaken, and all of our feeds froze, man. We were going back and forth from, the TV to our phone, to our iPads, to our laptops to see which feed, we were going to be able to get. But that's how many viewers were on there watching this thing, man. It was crazy. It was crazy. And shout out to some of the other fighters that were on that card. Bruce Shushu Carrington from Brooklyn. He opened up that, he was on that card. So he was able to fight on that platform. I don't know if he was on the main card, I don't think he was on the main card, but just to fight on that platform was absolutely insane. He should have been on the main card, to be honest with you. My man Lucas Prince body fought on that undercard, and we spoke about that experience when we had him on a couple weeks ago. You know, it was absolutely crazy. You know, Mario Barrios and Abel Ramos, they fought, they fought a hell of a fight. In my opinion, it was the fight of the night. Action packed. Action packed, man. So, you know, I mean, Jake Paul is doing it up and he's gonna do wonders for Alicia Bumgarner. You kind of wonder why Clarissa Shields, hasn't agreed to kind of work with Jake Paul. You know, she's crapped on him in the past, and has thrown a little bit of shade back and forth with Amanda, who she's been very, very close with, for years. And I don't know, like I said, she's, sometimes Clarissa gets up in her feelings, especially when Jake talks about Amanda being, the go-to woman boxing. She takes offense to that. And she sees herself as that, and she feels like she's kind of made that whole name up and persona, and now you're calling somebody else that. I mean, I think there should be multiple goats in women boxing. You know what I mean? Multiple goats. It shouldn't be just one. Amanda's one of those. I mean, what she's accomplished, winning titles in 7 divisions. She's a unified champion. She's an undisputed champion right now. She's moving up in weight. She moved up in weight to fight Katie Taylor. She's legendary status, especially from a financial perspective. She just signed a deal, a lifetime deal with Most Valuable Promotions. So they're gonna promote her fights, however many they may be, 1, 2, 3, regardless. And then she basically has the equivalent of a front office position on an NBA team or on a Major League Baseball team, where she's going to be handling women affairs, responsible for getting women talent. And you got to think she was, partly responsible, if not solely responsible, for bringing Alicia Bumgarner on that roster. And there's been a lot of talk about Alicia potentially wanting a fight with Amanda. So does that happen now? That they're under the same promotional banner? Sign me up if it does. In fact, if you want me to be honest, I didn't really think there was a need for Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano 3. In my opinion. Now, it's not because I'm not going to watch it. I think it was, both those fights were action packed. So we're going to watch it. We're going to be engaged. Some of those 2 first fights were 2 of the best fights I've seen in the last decade. But I just kind of felt like going, a third time around would be a little bit too much, especially with all the talk about Amanda, getting robbed in the second one, which I thought Amanda won the second one. I actually thought Amanda won both of them. But I'm not mad at Katie winning the first fight because it was extremely close, and she did some good work in that fight as well. But even if even if she won that first fight, this one should have been 1-1. They should have gave this one to Serrano. She deserved it. And then you go trilogy. But with Katie Taylor winning both of them, I'm like, even if Amanda Serrano wins this fight, you get the feeling that she's gonna have to knock her out. But let's say if she does, she's still gonna be down 2-1. What do they fight? A fourth one? What are we going to have another Pacquiao Juan Manuel Marquez with the females? Which would be very, very similar from an action-packed perspective. I wouldn't complain. But I actually would have wanted her to fight Alicia Bumgarner. That's who I would have said. If I'm going to pick an opponent for Amanda, it would definitely be Alicia Bumgarner. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But it'd be very, very interesting to see, how her career plays out right now. She's been through a lot. Alicia Bumgarner has been through a lot. So congratulations, baby girl, on getting that bag with Most Valuable Promotions. Do it up, man. I can't wait to see that first fight, on a big platform. And it'll probably be, more than likely, you got to guess, that is going to be on Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor's card on July 11th, because they're saying that that's going to be an all-woman card. No male fights, all women. So I'm almost positive the reason why this whole thing happened was because they want to put the bomb as probably the co-main event on July 11th. If they do that, shout out to her, man, and shout out to Jake Paul. But yeah, man, good call, man. That is an excellent call, Mr. B. We got Pink Car 06. What's going on, babes? What upcoming or potential fights are you looking forward to this year? Potential fights that I'm looking forward to. I think a lot of the fights that I'm looking forward to have not even been announced yet. They haven't been announced yet. I am looking forward. So the ones that are announced, I am looking forward to see that whole Times Square card. That Friday night in Times Square, free, in the middle of Times Square. I'm looking forward to seeing how that whole thing plays out. Not just the fights, but how it plays out logistically. I'm looking forward to that because I think that's going to be crazy. Number one, it's free to the public. So more than likely, you're going to have a Times Square New Year's Eve atmosphere. I mean, you guys have seen it. For those that have been to Times Square on New Year's Eve, or for those who have watched it on TV, I lived in New York my entire life, born and raised. I never even thought about going to one of those. There's just way too many people there. On New Year's Eve, it gets crazy, it gets packed. You got to be there like early in the morning to be able to secure a good spot to see the ball drop. So you got to anticipate that there's going to be people lined up in the middle of the night to try to get something close to the ring. There's talk that they're going to probably put about 300 to 500 seats around the ring. And then after that, everybody else will be all over the street. I'm sure they'll be playing it on some of the screens, on the buildings there. So people, will be able to watch it if you can't get a good eye in the ring. But it's going to be crazy. New York, something free. Everybody's going to come out for that. And I'm just interested to see, how it plays out from a security perspective. I mean, in my opinion, you got to bring the National Guards out there. I mean, police detail will not just be doubled, it will be tripled, probably quadrupled. I mean, it's going to be crazy. But, I'm interested to see how it plays out because this is something that we have not seen before. You know what I mean? This is something that has never been done. So shout out to Turkey Al-Sheikh, for thinking outside the box. There's word that he's trying to put together a card in Alcatraz. That shit would be crazy. Imagine that. And he said that. He actually said that on a DAZN broadcast. I believe it was the broadcast of the the Final Crescendo card, the legendary $26 card with all the great fights, with the 7 fights, that he's looking to do something like that. So these are things that I like about Turkey Al-Sheikh. He's given us things that we've never seen before, right? So we just don't know what to expect. But not for nothing, but the card's going to be good too. So to answer your question, those 3 fights are fights that I'm looking forward to. I mean, you got Devin Haney coming back from his year-long layoff. So I'm interested to see what type of Devin Haney we see, because he took a beating against Ryan Garcia. And, those type of beatings, it takes long for you not just to come back physically from, but mentally, right? He had never been beat like that before. So it's interesting to see that fight against Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is going to come out. You get the sense that Ramirez is taking this shot like this is his final shot, to try to beat a big name and potentially put himself, in contention for another title. So, he's going to come prepared. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing Ryan, the new and improved Ryan, not the crazy Ryan. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get Ak on here because, again, they interviewed him and they got in depth, man. I saw a clip. I didn't see the whole interview, but the clip that I saw, I can't wait to see the whole interview. When he talked about all the issues he was having mentally before that, going through issues with a divorce and baby mama drama and drinking, smoking, drinking on the day of the fight. He was wilding out. That was crazy, crashed out Ryan. In fact, I told people close to me that if you wanted to make a bet with me, I would have probably bet you I would have lost because I was betting that he wasn't even going to make it to fight night, against Devin Haney. But not only did he make it, but look what he did. And that's crazy. If he was drinking the day of the fight and he did that shit to Devin Haney, that's crazy. Now, I know the whole drug, tests and the Osterine positive test threw an entire monkey wrench into it. Obviously, they took that victory away from him. And now Devin Haney is back to being undefeated. They took the loss off his record. Ryan served or is serving a 1-year suspension for the use of PEDs. So that kind of just derails, a career-defining moment for Ryan Garcia. But at the end of the day, the deal. Boxing fans are going to tell you they can't forget what they saw that night, regardless of the Osterine or not. And I'm not sitting here saying that's the right thing to do. I don't condone cheating, nor will I condone cheating. And at the end of the day, I can't sit here and tell you that I know that Ryan did that intentionally. None of us know that. The only one that knows that is Ryan Garcia. We could all assume. But the only thing that I will tell you is we got to stick to the facts. And the facts are he got pinched for a PED, during a drug test before the fight. And the rules are if you get pinched for a PED, that you are cheating, And he's serving a suspension as we speak, which will be over, I believe, next month, April 20th to the day. It was a year suspension. Goes back, obviously, to the day of the fight. So it'll be interesting to see Ryan Garcia, man. I think boxing is better, when Ryan Garcia is there. Now we're not seeing the crash out Ryan. We're actually seeing the normal, sane Ryan that we saw when he first came into boxing. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see that fight against Rolly. They have some sparring history together. So for as long as that fight lasts, it may be some fireworks in that fight. And then last but not least, Teofimo Lopez against Arnold Barboza. That's the fight that I'm mostly looking forward to in that card, and it's because of what they've done to each other back and forth. Tio talking that shit like he always does. Barboza, just out there. He knows that. I mean, he hates Teofimo. He get the sense a lot of animosity there. He feels like Tio's been ducking him for years. So you can feel the genuine hate between the two. And then obviously what happened at the last press conference in LA, where Barboza smacked Tio's hat off, and Tio smacked Barboza in the face. So, those are the type of things that's going to make, a fight that the fight fans are going to anticipate and they're going to wait for and they're going to want. So I'm definitely looking forward to that card. I can't sit there and tell you I'm looking forward to Canelo and Skull, because I think we all know what the outcome of that fight is going to be. I would like to see Canelo against David Benavidez. We've said that, for God knows how many times, but I am going to be looking forward to Canelo and Crawford if that happens. It's a good consolation prize. It's a good consolation prize. If there's anybody that can put up a fight and potentially beat Canelo, skill wise, is Crawford. So, I'm looking forward to that fight as well. But there's a lot of fights that I want to see that just haven't been signed. Oh, one last but not least, and I just want to get into this one, and I'm glad Pink Card brought that up. Brian C, what's going on, brother? Thank you for rocking out with us here on a Tuesday night. We were supposed to have Akin Reyes from the famous duo Akin Barack on the Zone. They have a new show that is out on All the Smoke channel. It's called Ring Champs, where they're basically doing the same thing they were doing on the Zone, interviewing all the great fighters, all the big names. They just got that off the ground not so long ago. Ak is a real one. Somebody, again, that has inspired me to do this. Was supposed to have him on. I just sent him a DM. He's not responding. Maybe something happened. I hope nothing serious happened. But we have been planning this for about a week and a half now. So I apologize. Hopefully he'll be able to jump on before we sign off. If not, you know the deal. We make adjustments and we continue to move forward, and we'll get him back on. It's probably something that happened, that derailed and kind of caused him to miss the show. But we will reschedule. He's a good dude. He's a really, really good dude. So, but yeah, man, we was looking to get him on. But one thing I do want to touch on is, and I think, I think that I am anticipating this one, which is crazy because the first fight, I got to keep it raw with you. I got to keep it 100. I was not really, really digging Lamont Roach against Tank Davis that went down at Barclays. I wasn't digging it when I first heard it. It had nothing to do with Lamont Roach. It had more to do with Tank Davis. Obviously, you know the deal with Tank, man. You know the deal with Tank. I think he is a phenomenal talent, but him not, fighting the big names in the division, him not unifying, any titles. He's 30 years old. He hasn't unified a division yet, and he certainly has the talent to do that. He's not giving us the fight that we want to see. We want to see Tank Davis against Shakur Stevenson, who I consider the two best lightweights in the division, 1 and 1A, to unify. I want to see him fight Teofimo Lopez. I think that would be a fantastic fight. I would have wanted to see him fight Devin Haney before the Ryan Garcia deal, and I still want to see him fight Devin Haney. I'm confident that Devin Haney is going to come back strong against Ramirez. So that's a fight that I would like to see. But at the end of the day, I just want to see Tank fight somebody in his division, right? Because we all know, coming into this fight, Lamont Roach was the 130-pound WBA champion moving up a weight division. So for that reason, and for that reason only, I wasn't really looking forward to that fight. But we all saw what happened. We all got eyes, man. We saw what happened at the Barclays Center just a few weeks ago, man. Tank Davis, man, and Lamont Roach fighting to a draw. But most people are going to say that Lamont Roach won that fight, especially if they would have counted that knee as a knockdown in the 9th round.
This is nasty.
Obviously, the New York State Athletic Commission was putting out some stuff that they were going to review that, potentially have the decision overturned, give Lamont Roach the victory because on the scorecards it was a draw. But if they count that knockdown, means Lamont Roach would have won on two of the judges' scorecards. The other judge had Tank Davis winning 7-5. But at the end of the day, star power matters in boxing. And they leave the decision as is, which makes absolutely no sense to me, man. Boxing dropped the ball there. They needed to do the right thing. But just like most people say, the boxing is the Wild Wild West, and it's basically driven by the big names. So I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if they didn't want to ruffle any feathers with Javante or whatnot, or whatever it was. The decision stays. It's a draw, and now potentially the rematch is going to go down on June 21st in Las Vegas. So for this one, I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm actually looking forward to that. And I'm probably going to pick Lamont Roach to win the rematch. I just saw something different in Roach, and I don't know what it was. A lot of people are saying that, this wasn't the same Tank. Tank wasn't taking this fight as seriously as he should have. Tank only, it was pretty clear that Tank, realistically, in typical Tank fashion, didn't take his gear to second and third level in the middle to late portion of that fight. He did a lot of moving for a guy that technically wasn't physically smaller. Looked like Lamont Roach was actually bigger than him, but technically going into the fight, a fighter from a smaller weight class. He did a lot of moving in that fight. He just didn't show us what he's shown us in the past. But I think that's because, of who was across from him. I mean, Lamont Roach was staying in the pocket. You can tell that what Tank was throwing, it wasn't really hurting Lamont Roach. He was coming forward. I believe that Lamont Roach could have won that fight fairly easy without the knockdown if he had just let his hands go a little bit more in the first 5 rounds. He was a little gun shy. So, but nonetheless, he did excellent work. Excellent work. Great counter punching. I mean, he hit Tank with a left and right hand that actually stumbled Tank. I'd never seen anybody stand in the pocket and stand up to Tank the way Lamont Roach did. And I think that his confidence is going to be sky high going into the second fight. Remember, he's already tasted Tank's power. He's seen them in the ring. He knows how fast he is. He knows how explosive he can be. But there is familiarity with these guys. They've sparred, they've sparred and they fought each other in the amateurs. And there's something to be said about that. A lot of people said the same thing about Ryan and Devin. And I know that was in the amateurs, but there's something about being familiar with the person you are opposite against. And because of that, I mean, Lamont put up an excellent performance. Now, can he do better than that? Because he's going to have to do better than that, because you get the sense that maybe now Tank, who has basically teetered on potentially tasting defeat. He's getting hammered on social media. I mean, I know he reads this stuff. I mean, fans are saying that he lost that fight. So you got to think that the pride in him is going to come out and show something different. But if he does open up, does Lamont Roach, counter him and hurt him? Again, he staggered him the first fight. So, I mean, that's going to be interesting. That fight's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, he was giving his boy, a shot, a payday. Tank had been talking about potentially retiring, so maybe his head wasn't in this fight. It was a cherry pick gone wrong. And that could be true. That could all be true. But at the end of the day, you got to give Lamont Roach credit for what he did that night, man. Because personally, and I think Lamont Roach is a cool dude. I've met him. I've interviewed his little brother. He's a great guy. He fights, he trains at Pro Box, and you know the deal. Pro Box is like family to me. So I was rooting for him, but I didn't think he would win. I thought he would get stopped, and look what he did, man. So you got to give him credit, man. You got to give him credit. I mean, we just make predictions, as fans. But at the end of the day, our predictions don't matter. It's what they do in the ring, man. Fighters don't win fights on paper. They win it in the ring, and anything can happen in the sport of boxing. This is why I love boxing. And this is why I love an underdog story. And Lamont Roach is talking hella crap. He sounds super, ultra confident. I mean, he did have a sense of confidence going into the first fight, but now it's just triple the confidence. I mean, he was on with Cameron and Mace and Najee. Shout out to my guy Najee from Cigar Talk, man. He's doing big things, man. I'm trying to see if I can get Najee up in here, man, to chop it up with me, man. He's doing big things in the world of boxing, doing a lot of great interviews with big names. If you guys haven't checked out Cigar Talk with Najee, make sure y'all check it out. But yeah, man, he's super confident, and it's gonna be interesting to see how the rematch plays out. If it indeed goes through. Right now they're saying June 21st in Vegas, so they're not running it back at Barclays in New York City. So that kind of sucks, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm actually looking forward to that fight as well. But the fight that I was looking forward to before this one was Tank against Shakur. But who knows if that's ever going to happen? Who knows if that's going to ever happen? But a lot of good stuff, on the horizon. We got Edgar, who's a free agent. And again, that's another fight. And again, it hasn't been announced. There's no fight. But if Edgar does happen to latch on with a promotion company that can make that Munguia fight, if Munguia handles his business on May 3rd on the undercard of Canelo against William Skull, I'd love to see Edgar against Munguia. I think that's a great stylistic matchup. Two guys that are going to fight in the pocket. Edgar can punch, man. Edgar can punch. And so I think that would be good. Mexico against Puerto Rico. I mean, that's never a boring fight. That's going to be fireworks more than likely. And hopefully they can put that fight together with a really, really good undercard. But time will tell. Time will tell. My man Pablo Valdez, I interviewed him last week. Eddie Hearn is potentially looking to bring him back to Matchroom. Eddie Hearn is a fan of Pablo Valdez. He's a hard guy not to cheer for, man. His story is incredible, what he's been through in his life, going to prison, coming out, and basically, starting a boxing career at a late age. I mean, guys don't start boxing careers in the late 30s. He's 41 years old. He has 9 fights. I don't know how many fights he would want to fight, but he's personally told me that, for years, he didn't take any punishment, obviously, when he was away. So he feels good. His body is good. He's in a good place mentally. He's doing real estate. He's rocking with Edgar. He's financially well off. And he wants to continue to fight as long as he feels good. And right now he looked good. He did what he needed to do. And Eddie Hearn is looking to bring him to Matchroom, potentially in New York City, on the undercard of Richardson Hitchens. That's another guy, the 140-pound IBF champion. Shout out to Richardson Hitchens, who I was able to see, chop it up with, get an interview with. And, next week, George Kambosos is fighting in Australia. And if George Kambosos wins, the guy with 9 lives, shout out to the Maniac. He calls him the Cat because he's got 9 lives. I mean, this is the only guy that we know, that for one night, and he was, I give him credit, he did what he needed to do against Teofimo that one night in New York City. But honestly, I think if they fought 10 times, Teofimo would beat him 9 out of 10 times. That was just a bad night for Teofimo. He fought the wrong fight. Obviously there was a physical ailment going on, with his heart and stuff like that, where, he came out and said the doctors, basically told him that they don't know how he survived that fight. He could have potentially died. And he still almost pulled that fight off. That was a very, very, very close fight. He got dropped. He dropped Kambosos late in that fight. Regardless, Teofimo, if you look back on that fight, he fought the wrong fight. He fought that fight with rage. He was trying to knock Kambosos out from the first bell. And you can't fight a guy like that who's a good counterpuncher with rage. It's got to be controlled, man. You got to keep your composure in the ring. In box, if he would have did what he did against Lomachenko, man, he walks right through Kambosos, man. But anyhow, George Kambosos, shout out to him. He gets the victory. He becomes, an undisputed champion. And then after that, I don't think he's won a fight after that. I really don't. I mean, the Devin Haney first fight and second fight, if he won 3 rounds combined, in both those fights, to me, that's too much. After the first fight, after Devin Haney walked right through him and watched him, basically shut him out the first fight, I was like, why is there even a rematch? But Devin Haney kept his word and he gave him another rematch in Australia, and Devin Haney did what he did in the first fight, proving that this guy shouldn't have been in the ring with him. There's levels to this game. Then he goes out there and fights Maxie Hughes. He gets the decision, so he wins on paper. But did he really win? Most boxing fans are going to say Maxie Hughes won that fight. So, at the end of the day, and then let's not forget. Oh, wait. I almost forget. Lomachenko just washed him, dude. Washed him.
He got cooked.
Adrian, you didn't
Yep.
go down like that, huh?
He got cooked.
He got cooked by Lomachenko. But yet this dude, shout out to him, is getting another title eliminator in Australia, bro. So I mean, you gotta give him credit, man. He has a great team around him, man. And he can they market him well, and and they're still keeping him relevant. But nonetheless, he wins next week. It's pretty obvious that they want to set up a title fight, give him another title fight against Richardson. Hitchens told me that they're looking to do that fight in New York City. Obviously, Kambosos is no stranger to fighting in New York City because that's where he beat Teofimo Lopez. So that'll go down more than likely, potentially at the end of June, around that time, is what the champ told me. And if that happens, then they're looking to bring Pablo Valdez, pretty boy Pablo Valdez, onto that card. And if they put him there, I think that's the wise move because people in New York City will come out for my boy, man. That's not even debatable. Man. I mean, people came out from New York City to see him in Orlando. So the people on the Lower East Side, the Dominicans, the Hispanics, they're going to come out and see him. And if that happens, more than likely, I'll probably be going up for that to support my guy. So a lot of good stuff. Obviously, this week we have Sebastian Fundora finally getting back into the ring after winning the titles from Tim Tszyu in that bloodbath. Last year, he's going to be defending his titles against Cordell Booker. I think that's going to be a pretty good fight. I think a lot of people didn't like it when they first heard about it. Like when I first heard about it, I was a little iffy on it. I respect Cordell Booker. He's a great guy, and he's big time in the Boxing Voice community. So again, much respect to him, and we're going to be rooting for him. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Sebastian Fundora, obviously, at 154 is a problem for anybody based on his size, his height, his reach. And if he can use that reach to his advantage, it'd be very, very difficult for anybody to beat him at 154. But Sebastian Fundora likes to fight like a typical Mexican in the pocket when he doesn't even need to. Now, he did some great work against Tim Tszyu, but I would love to see how that fight played out if Tim Tszyu didn't have that cut on his forehead, man, because that definitely affected the outcome of that fight. And that fight should have been stopped. We had Stitch Duran, the GOAT of all cut men in boxing. We had him on back in December, I believe we had him on. And he said if he was his cut man, he would have demanded that they stop that fight before it went to the scorecards. That way they could have called it a no contest. Tim Tszyu could have kept his titles, and then he could have healed up, and they could have potentially fought, down the road, on a level playing field without the cut, without the blood going in his eye. But, sometimes, you have to have a good corner. Fighters have to have a good corner that will protect their fighters, will save their fighters from themselves. And, that was one of those cuts, like Stitch Duran said, that wasn't going to stop. It was in a bad spot in the top of the head, where if you hit that vessel, it's going to be impossible to stop. And they tried, and the thing just got bigger and bigger, and the blood just kept flowing into Tim Tszyu's eyes. Nonetheless, it was a bloodbath because, Sebastian Fundora was also bleeding as well. But he took advantage of it. He fought a really, really good fight. He fought a smart fight, Fundora. It wasn't in the phone booth like he usually fights. And he comes out, with the victory and takes the title. But we haven't seen him in the ring since. There's been rumors that he was going to fight Errol Spence. That went on back and forth, for, 2 or 3 times. Obviously, the WBO, said that they weren't sanctioning Spence to be able to, fight for that title. So they kind of pulled the plug on that. But at the end of the day, he gets back into the ring. So that's going to be good. It's going to be good seeing Sebastian Fundora back into the ring. And that is going down this Saturday on Amazon Prime Video. It's actually on free. If you have Amazon Prime, it's on free. It's not a pay-per-view. It's in Las Vegas in the Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas. Main event, Sebastian Fundora. This is for the WBC and WBO super welterweight titles. Sebastian is 21-1-1. Coming into this fight with 13 knockouts. And Cordell Booker is 23-1 with 11 knockouts. So shout out to him for finally getting his opportunity. Then you got the return of Elijah Garcia, who was, who disappointed me big time in his last fight against Kyron Davis. Shout out to Kyron Davis. He did his thing, man. But I don't know what was going on with Elijah Garcia. Nonetheless, I was extremely high on him going into that fight. He was 16-0. I thought he was going to be a major player, and I still think he will. I mean, these are things that happen to young fighters. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was an issue with the weight or whatnot. I mean, I really didn't hear a lot about that, but he just didn't look right in there. He looked very, very sluggish from the beginning, and Kyron Davis did what he needed to do in that fight. Shout out to Stephen Breadman, for training Kyron, and in a terrific, terrific fight, beating Elijah Garcia. But nonetheless, he's back now. He's training with Bob Santos, who's my guy. He's 16-1 with 13 knockouts. He will be fighting Terrell Goucher, tough veteran, well known for putting Tim Zua on the ground in their fight. He's 24-4-1 with 12 knockouts. He's a veteran of the sport. So again, another good test for Elijah Garcia. And then you got the return of Jesus Ramos, who just fought. It looked like he just fought last week. He's back in action, looking to stay busy, against Guido Schramm in this fight, super welterweight. So he's going back down to 154. This last fight was at 160, where he beat Jason Banana Rosario. So now Jesus Ramos, who said after the fight that he wanted to go back to 154 pounds. So I'm glad that he was able to do that. But yeah, man, that's what's going down. This Saturday, we got a Pro Box card as well, which is headlined by Lester Martinez. That's going to be in California. That's going down as well. So a lot of good boxing, man. A lot of good boxing. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I think something went down, but we may get Ak on here. We may get Ak on here. Yeah, actually, yeah, we are. So like I said, man, if you have not smashed that like button, make sure you smash that like button as we need to get this channel out into the visibility of other boxing fans so they know we rock out every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, and keep the chat going, man, because my guest is finally here, man. Much anticipated. I'm glad that I was able to get him on, man. He's a guy that has inspired me, to start doing this whole boxing podcasting stuff. I mean, he is a big time DAZN boxing personality. He's an OTX broadcaster, host of Ring Champs on Ring Champs with Ak and Barack. So without further ado, man, I want to bring in my guy, Akin Reyes. My brother, welcome to the Hangout spot, man.
Listen, I'm honored. Thank you for that introduction. And I'm sorry to you and your listeners and viewers on being so late. For those that don't know, I'm Muslim and I am fasting during Ramadan. And I had a rough day. I had to break my fast. I had to cook for my son. And I just lost track of time. And I looked up and I'm like, it's 10 o'clock. So my apologies on that. But I'm here nevertheless.
No, listen, man. Listen, I know you're a busy guy, man. You got a lot going on, and we've been trying to make this happen for quite some time. So I'm just glad that you were able to come on, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, I wasn't capping, bro. You are definitely a guy that I've been rocking with for a long time.
Thank
Since
you.
your days on DAZN with Akin Barack. The Akin Barack show was banging, man. You guys always had the big names. And you've inspired me, man. You've inspired me to start doing this thing because I love your flow. I love your realness. Great content, but more importantly, great delivery, man.
Appreciate
And that's what I try to do here at the Hangout spot, man, because when people come here, I want them to feel like family.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? We keep it real here. So, but you're doing some good things, man. You're doing some great, great things. So shout out to you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's been a long journey. So, but finally, God blessed me with some opportunities I took advantage of, and it's paying off.
No, for sure. Before we get into some of the stuff that you're working on now, man, because great stuff with Ring Champ, getting that off the ground, man.
Right.
It's gotten to the point where I'm looking forward to every single episode.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow, next episode drops with Ryan Garcia, exclusive sit down with Ryan. So look out for that.
So I was telling my viewers that earlier I did see a 5-minute clip of that.
Right.
Today, and that's a must-see interview because you guys went very, very in depth with a lot of the issues that he was going through before the fight and even after the fight with Devin Haney.
Oh yeah,
Crazy.
We got into a lot more stuff than you've seen on that clip. So that clip is on the Ring Champs page, but the our show the foundation is All the Smoke Fight. So some of you might be aware of Andre Ward's show on there, The Art of Ward, which is formerly the Showtime digital platform that has become All the Smoke. So whatever, all the digital Showtime channels from Instagram and YouTube now are titled All the Smoke Fight under All the Smoke Productions. So our show is under All the Smoke Productions. So we're building the YouTube Ring Champs page, but a lot of the portions of the show and clips are going to live on All the Smoke Fight, and then the full interviews are going to live on Ring Champs. So yeah, that's a new venture, a new journey that Barack and I are embarking on. We've been with the Zone since 2018, so 7 years, and we're still going to be working with them to some capacity, but we're no longer doing a weekly, daily show like the Zone Boxing show because we needed ownership of our show, of the IP, and the partnership with All the Smoke is the best situation for us. But we'll still be working live fights with the Zone on certain broadcasts, and obviously Overtime is also on the Zone. But Ring Champs is our baby. We finally own a portion of the show, and it's our priority more than anything.
It's dope. It's dope, man. I love it, man. I really do. If you guys haven't checked it out, my viewers, if you have not checked out Ring Champs, you got to check that out. I'm looking forward to that interview that you did with Ryan because the first one I believe you did was with Tio.
Our first one was with Jake Paul.
Oh, Jake Paul. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Jake Paul and Nikisa in LA. So that was the introduction. And then recently we dropped the Tio one, which is doing great on social and a lot of good feedback on that. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy attached to him. So it was a good chat. And so many more big names to come. I mean, we've done this on the Zone. We've sat down with everybody. And the pull-up is coming back. For those that know the pull-up, that should be coming back this year. A lot of people have been begging for that to come back, but it's going to probably be on All the Smoke. So a lot of big things, a lot of big names, man. Canelo. I don't want to reveal a lot of stuff that we're working on, but you'll see it on Instagram.
Oh, I'm sure, man. I'm sure it's going to be fire. Like I said, Akin Barack, that was popping, man. I've been rocking with y'all for a minute, but before we get into some of this other stuff that you're working on, man, why don't you take me back a little bit, take my viewers back a little bit, man. So tell me, how did the journey start, man?
Oh, man. It's a long story. I mean, for those that don't know, I was an amateur fighter. I was involved in the sport since 5 years old. I fought 75 amateur fights. So boxing has always been, part of my culture in my home since 5 years old. So it's always been a part of me. My brother was a professional fighter, signed to Don King at 17. So I traveled a lot with him and learned a lot about the business, being around Don King and Don King Productions, and also just being a fighter. So that's where the knowledge of the sport came. But I went on to do other things in life and try to give you a synopsis. It's going to be in my book dropping next year called Passion Over Pension. It's going to have my whole entire story. So look out for that early 2026. I'm dropping a memoir. So it started with, Barack and I have known each other since I was 14 years old. We both grew up in Brooklyn, New York. But we didn't, we had went on with our lives, and I ran into him years later. But I would say 2010, 2011, a friend of mine living in Jersey, I had moved to Jersey. A friend of mine started a little small internet radio station that played hip hop music. It wasn't anything big. It was a hobby that he asked me to host a show once a week, talk about pop culture, music, whatever I wanted to talk about. I mean, there was probably like 20 listeners on that internet radio station, maybe less than that. So, but it was a hobby that I used to fix furniture. That was my bread and butter. I did furniture, upholstery and refinishing. That's what my father did. So that was the business I was in. And that 2010, I started doing a show once a week just for a hobby. It wasn't getting paid. I grabbed one of my good friends named Hitchcock, who's an artist from Jersey. His name is Salim, but people know him as Hitch. He was a relatively known artist, and we just have fun for an hour talking about pop culture stuff. But Zab Judah was fighting Lucas Matisse in the Prudential Center in New Jersey. I had an idea because I started talking about sports on the show, and I said, well, maybe we should get Zab on the show because he's fighting in Jersey where we host the show. It's in Jersey. Maybe we can get him on. Now, keep in mind, this is a very small platform. So in order to get the promotion or the PR, he was in main events at the time. In order to get them to okay it, we kind of have to embellish a little bit about how big the platform was, right? So what Barack and I, no, what Hitch and I did, we rented a sports bar downtown Newark. We got a step and repeat, red carpet. I hired 10 photographers so it could look like it was media, boxing media there. And I invited every person I know. I said, listen, you have to come to this event, this live broadcast, because it needs to look like something. When main events break Zab Judah and Lucas Matisse in it needs to look like something. And sure enough, all of my people came through, all the Hitches people came through, and it looked like a big event. So we did an interview on the stage at the sports bar, like a live broadcast. Honestly, I can't think, there weren't that many people listening, but I kind of told the PR, and I'm revealing this now for the first time, I told them it was a lot more, right? So they put out a press release about it. I was very new to the game, ignorant. I hadn't even covered a fight yet. That was actually first boxing match I ever attended for as media, because main events granted us some credentials for that fight. There was a boxing website the next day. I don't remember who it was, but apparently they came to the event, unbeknownst to me, and they wrote an article about the interview. So the article was shedding light on two new boxing personalities, even though we were nobody. And they said good things about the interview. And that kind of sparked the match for me. So it made me say to myself, okay, maybe I can interview fighters. Now from that idea, that light bulb that went off, there was a lot of trials and tribulation to get to the point where I'm at now. A lot. So it's too much to get into, but I'll say this to kind of summarize it. That sparked the idea. Eventually, we started doing a boxing show at a bigger internet radio station that had more of an audience in Brooklyn, New York, called DTF Radio. And that's when Barack came on board as a writer. He helped with ideas. He was always involved because we ran into each other at a fight, and he said, yo, I know you got something going on. We've known each other for so many years. Let me join your team. So he was filming. He was doing whatever he could do to be involved. And we started doing a show in Brooklyn, and we had, I remember Daniel Jacobs, Peter Quillen. Those are the guys that supported us at first and was on the show because it was a smaller platform, still not big. And then from there, it was enough to get credentials to fights. That's when we started going to the fights at the Barclays Center. Then after we started filling out our credentials as worldstarhiphop.com. For those that know that website, we didn't work for them.
I
We
remember
needed
that.
better access. So when we filled out the media credentials, we were putting worldstarhiphop.com and we will film videos and send them to Worldstar, hoping that they would post it. I mean, we created Worldstar mic flags, makeshift mic flags, and did interviews with people, hoping that Worldstar would post one of the interviews because then it would legitimize us as representing the platform. And sure enough, when Paulie Malignaggi was fighting Adrian Broner, they were going back and forth before the fight, and we ran into Paulie in Atlantic City. I'll never forget. He was going to be on a Showtime broadcast. Barack was filming the video, and I interviewed Paulie with the World Star mic flag, and he said he was going to piss on Broner once he dropped him. And that video did about 250,000 views on World Star. We sent it to them, and they posted it. So that kind of legitimized us as World Star, employees, so to speak, or journalists. And we started getting access to all of the fights. And that gave us, it gave us more experience in the game. And we kept doing the show at DTF Radio until 2015 is when we finally started to get paid for doing what we did. And that was when SiriusXM gave us an opportunity to host our own national radio show. 2015, Hitch and I started the show, but it's a long story on how Barack ended in the spot. But it was Hitch dropped the ball, Barack picked it up, and was always on point. He didn't try to take anybody's spot. It just God blessed him with the opportunity. SiriusXM said, "Hey, we like the way you guys, we were going to." And I know this is long-winded, but just to get the story right, we're
Are
going
you good?
to Canelo Cotto, Vegas. The first time SiriusXM was giving us the opportunity to host a live show from Vegas for SiriusXM. Name of the channel was Rush 93 at the time. And I made my flight to Vegas. My co-host Hitch never made the flight. They asked him to go to the SiriusXM offices in New York. He never made it. Barack was already there because when they offered us a deal at Sirius, they told us we can only give you and Hitch a deal. Barack, if you want him to be a part of it, we can't pay him, but he can come into the studio and be a third mic. He can chime in, and be involved. So when Hitch didn't make it to Vegas, Barack came to help me out, and we hosted the live broadcast together. When we got back to New York, the rest is history. They said, we want Barack to be your co-host on this show on SiriusXM. So it was the end of Akin Hitch, and that was the birth of Akin Barack. And that's when our career really took off, because SiriusXM is a national huge platform. So we were able to get the biggest names in the sport. And then in 2016, we teamed up with 50 Cent, and we started our show, The Sweet Scientist, on there, where it's the first time we had a visual show, a video show where people will come to the G Unit office. So shout out to 50 Cent and all of the staff at G Unit, Renee, Mario, Jeremy, all of those people over there helped us build a big boxing platform on a hip hop platform, a big show. That show was known for hip hop artists. We turned it into a boxing platform because we got every name in the sport to come there. 50 Cent helped a lot with that because he's an icon. All the fighters wanted to come chill and meet 50 Cent. So we got everybody from Wilder, Broner, to Danny. I mean, we even had Steven Espinoza in the G Unit office, right? And those 2 years is probably was the catalyst. So shout to 50 Cent for that, because when the Zone launched in America, they was like, whatever you guys are doing at This Is 50, we want it here at the Zone. We want you to host a flagship show, do whatever you want to do, and the rest is history, bro. That's how we ended up at the Zone in 2018.
Amazing story, man. Again, I love to hear this stuff because it inspires me, man.
Right.
Because like you, I started this as a hobby,
Mm.
because I love boxing and I love to talk boxing, and now it's picking up so much steam for me. Like I just started doing this a little bit about a year ago.
Okay.
I started putting out boxing content, and it's taking off for me, man.
That's
I'm getting
good, man.
professional.
Blessings to you, man. You obviously you know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. Before I watched some of your stuff before coming on, and it's I'm glad to speak to somebody that takes the sport serious and has done what you. And I want to be an inspiration to people, because growing up, we didn't. If you weren't a former champion, you'll never see somebody that looks like you on TV on a broadcast. It's not. It was just unheard of, right? No disrespect to any of the white journalists, or these broadcasters. They're all great at what they do, but we didn't see anybody that looked like us as a journalist, as a broadcaster that wasn't a former fighter, right? Roy Jones, George Foreman, Lennox Lewis, those are former champions, Hall of Famers. I'm
Right.
talking about guys that can talk about the sport that weren't, it didn't come from professional boxing. It just was unheard of. So I like to take credit for being the first. I don't like using the word urban so much, but cultural personalities that hit the mainstream, right, on a global platform. There weren't anybody before us, nobody. Barack and I broke that mold. If I if I can say it like that, because it wasn't. And listen, credit to the people at the Zone that the first regime, because a lot of changes happened, but the people that launched, they knew TV, they knew boxing, and they allowed us to be creative and do what we love to do, and it opened. I like to think that we opened doors for a lot of people in this business, where you can be yourself. Now, of course, you have to be polished. Live TV is a little different. A lot of people think it's it's easy. You get a lot of hate once you reach a certain level of success. You get a lot of hate from people that look like you, because the problem is our people, black and Hispanics, brown people. A lot of them have this self hate, right? So what happens is when you sometimes hate yourself, you can't see yourself on a certain level because you can't believe it. If you don't see a certain guy in a suit, it doesn't look normal to you, right? So then what you do is spew hate. No, you shouldn't be there. And I had to deal with that a lot at first. I mean, I ignore it for the most part now, but early on it was consuming me, because I was like, man, I'm reaching a certain level, and all of my people, all they do is say negative things and hate and hate. And then I learned, speaking to a lot of big people in the business. Charlemagne, who was a friend of mine at the Breakfast Club, helped me out a lot when it came to that. I asked him, giving me advice on dealing with that level of hate. And it's sad, but I realized in hindsight that it was because they weren't used to seeing that, and a lot of people have this self hate built into them. And what you have to do is keep giving it to them until it's normal to them. Like, yes, you can be here. You can be on a live broadcast, and boxing has took us around the world, from being in 80, 90,000 people in Wembley with AJ, and 21,000 in Vegas with Canelo, and so on and so forth. So we know that we belong here, right? But it's a tough journey getting its acceptance and getting our people to view it the way you're viewing it, as an inspiration, instead of saying I need to be there, not you. But it comes with the territory, man. It does. So I'm grateful to God for all the opportunities that He's given us. We just took advantage of them.
You have, man. And that's deep, man. That's deep. It makes a lot of sense, man. This is why I always say, man, like I've never met you personally, but just watching you on TV, I kind of feel like a connection, because I've come where you come, from where you come from as well. I was born and raised in Brooklyn as well.
Right?
And I'm just doing what I love doing, and you can tell that there's a genuine passion when you guys are doing what you're doing. Like
Right.
people that fighters, whoever it is that come across you guys, just you get the sense that and this is what I've learned, being, doing what I'm doing, right? Getting these credentials, meeting these fighters, meeting these trainers, bringing them on here. They appreciate realness.
Hmm.
They don't appreciate phony shit.
Of
And
course.
that's not what I bring. I bring real. This is me, man. The way I'm talking to you is the way I'm going to talk to him, the way I'm going to talk to him. And I'm going to respect you because I respect not just every fighter,
Yeah, and that's
I
gonna that's
respect the
gonna allow
game.
them to put their guard down and be more comfortable with you. That's
Yeah.
how you get more out of a fighter.
Yeah, and this is the reason why I think I'm doing as well as I'm doing in a year. Obviously, I owe Nestor Gibbs a lot from the Boxing Voice. I do some
Yeah,
stuff for him. Obviously,
Ness is also a pioneer in this business, and Ness inspired us in a lot of ways. So credit to him; he's a good friend of ours.
yeah, yeah, he's a good dude, and he's opened up some doors for me. And I'm the type of person where just get me to the door, man.
Right,
Just get me to the door. I'll do what I need to do to try to kick that thing in, and make a positive perception. But yeah, like I said, the whole delivery with the way that not only you speak but you carry yourself, with guests is something that I've always admired and I've always wanted to kind of mimic. I
appreciate,
want people to want to come back.
appreciate that, brother.
I want people to want to come back. And that's a great story, man. It really is, you know, um, with how it started. But and then obviously it took off from there. But what kind of led to this move with all the smoke? How
Well,
did that whole thing come about? I know you did mention that you wanted to do something that you had ownership on, but was
yeah,
it
that's
something
pretty
that
much.
was playing out or
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking to All the Smoke for about 5 6 months. So it's a lot of negotiations and ideas being bounced back and forth. Once Barack and I decided last year that the move we needed to make was to take our show on a platform that we have ownership. towards. So more of a partnership than just being under a banner, right? Being under a network that's just paying you a good salary to create, but there's a ceiling to that, right? You know, when you have ownership, there's no ceiling, right? The bigger your show grows, then you can create partnership deals, brand deals, sponsorship deals that it can become way more lucrative. And we felt like we built enough, uh, enough of a legacy in this game to this point where we're strong enough to to own something and still we're still tied to the zone in a lot of ways. So it's no bad blood. We're still doing a lot of work for them. We just wanted to bring our daily show or weekly show somewhere where we can ownership. We would have never had that option at the zone, right? We would have never been able to own anything there. So All the Smoke, not only is it the best platform because All the Smoke production, All the Smoke fight, we love Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, Brian Daly, those guys, Andre Ward, who's heavily involved in the content and the creation. It was a perfect home for us because these people are innovative. They're part of the culture. Matt and Stack, their podcast was those guys were pioneers, right? And it's a perfect home for us to create a partnership where we own, but also it's a big platform as well. You know, All the Smoke Fight is a huge platform. It's the former Showtime platform, and we're tapping into a different audience with Matt and Stack. So it's the best. I mean, we had other options and other offers, but we felt that this was the best home for the weekly show, and so far they haven't disappointed.
Absolutely. And do you intend on turning that weekly? You said something about daily. Do you intend on
No,
maxing it
no,
out?
no. I mean, it's too much with so much we got going on. It's impossible to do a daily show. We were doing a daily show on the Zone, but we weren't filming every day, right? We would film like 2 days a week and have different segments, but they would put something out 5 days a week.
Got it.
We weren't filming every day. It's impossible. With All the Smoke, it's more exclusive, major sit downs. You know, it's impossible to do that daily. Plus, sometimes it'll be just Barack and I kind of breaking down fights or a fight card. Now, if we do bring the pull up back, that'll be a different segment, just a different show outside of the podcast, outside of Ring Champ. So that will probably filter in. So people might get maybe 2 episodes a week of Akin Barak somehow, whether it's the pull up Ring Champs. Eventually, that's what we want to get to. Where people will see at least 2 pieces of content a week because we do work live broadcasts with overtime and other things. I do a lot of voiceovers as well for 40 days, documentaries. I did something for the video game Undisputed. The trailer, I did the voice for that. So that's something else that I'm getting involved with other sports. So yeah, it'd be impossible for us to do a daily show, but weekly and possibly 2 times a week.
That's what's up, man. The more the merrier. And I am here with my man Akin Reyes from Ring Champs with Akin Barak. If you haven't, hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and keep that chat going. The chat is actually cooking, but I don't want to ruin the flow here, man, because I'm totally engulfed in this, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I knew this was going to be a great interview, and you haven't disappointed yet. So I appreciate you coming on.
no
But
doubt.
how is broadcasting live fights for OTX different than doing shows? Do you enjoy that more? It's got to be more challenging because you're calling fights, correct?
I wouldn't say more challenging. Like so, we've done live TV, right? Where we've hosted prelims. Me and Ade and Barack worked a lot on a lot of shows where we'll host the prelim, we'll host the weigh-ins. I just hosted the tank weigh-in for PBC. Me, Barack, and Roy.
I
So
saw that.
we were comfortable doing live TV. To be honest, calling fights is a bit easier than hosting a live, uh, whether it's a pre-fight show, a post-fight show, anything that when the cameras are on you and it's live TV and you have your IFB in there listening to the producers while you talk, while you interview, while you talk with one another. That's way more difficult than calling fights because the people watching you call the fights that they're watching the fight. They just hear your voice. You can actually candidly go back and forth. Corey Erdman, who's a phenomenal play-by-play guy that we've been working with all last year at Overtime, is super experienced. So it's just like the boys having a conversation about what they're watching. I did start doing in-ring post-fight interviews for Overtime, which I guess that might be challenging at times, but I got into a good rhythm with that. The last few fights. So I wouldn't say it's more difficult. It's a different dynamic because you have to, you know, you have to describe what you're watching in your own way, and then you have to know when to jump in and chime in with the play-by-play guy in Barack. But I think I would say the most challenging is hosting a live television event broadcast while the cameras are on you. That would probably be the most challenging. But they're all fun in their own right, man. I love calling fights for Overtime. Love hosting, weigh-ins, press conferences, pre-fight shows, prelims, and all that. It's all. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and complain and act like, oh my job is so much work, it's so difficult. Yeah, it's work, right? If it was easy, anybody would do it. But it's
Absolutely.
still a blessing to be able to do this for a living, right? Like work in a sport that we love, that we're passionate about, and get paid to talk boxing. God is great. I have no complaints.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. What about the voiceover stuff, man? How
Yeah,
did
the
that whole
voiceover
thing come
stuff came from a few years back. The Zone asked me to voice something for a Canelo feature piece. I think Canelo. I don't remember. It might have been Kovalev or maybe the second fight with Triple G. I don't remember the fight exactly, but they asked me to. They sent me some lines from home and asked to voice, just record some lines, and I seen it on one of the broadcasts before that fight as a feature piece on social media. I seen it on TV, and after that, they came to me like, "Yo, everybody loves that Canelo piece, man. We need you to like." Then the Zone wanted me to start doing a lot of the voiceover pieces, and then last year, they wanted me to do 40 days for Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and then I did the 40 days, the voice for the 40 days for Crawford Madrimov, and yeah, and that's how Undisputed came to me. The founder Ash there, he loved the Madrimov Crawford one. He said, "Man, we'd love to send for you to send I guess a reference of these lines because we're looking for somebody to do the voice for the trailer." So I guess they had a group of voiceover guys, and he called me a week later. He said, "Yo, everybody loved your voice. Let's go with this." And yeah, so that wasn't a plan. It was something that the Zone threw on my lap, and I did it and tried it, and now it's going to be probably something I'm going to be doing more often.
That's dope, man. You got a unique voice for it, man.
Thank you.
I caught it real quick. When I actually caught the undisputed one. When
Oh
you did
yeah,
the game. Yeah, yeah, I caught that one. I was like,
that was
"Damn, my
pretty
man
cool.
Ak
Yeah,
is doing my voiceovers. That's what's up."
yeah, yeah, man. It was good. I mean, and quiet as kept. Before it plays out at the end of this year, when they update and have the second version of Undisputed, the new game, it's a good possibility that Barack and I might be on the game. So look out for it.
Wow, that's what's up. That's big time, bro.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's been a phenomenal journey. So we're gonna keep pushing, man. Heights that we haven't got to, we plan on getting to. So we're not done yet, bro.
That's what I like, man. The determination to keep going, man. That's what drives me, man. Like I had a good year, so I'm looking
Right.
like where could I be in 2 or 3 more years if I
Yeah,
continue to put this hard work? Like I'm already getting. I mean, you've seen the channel. I got interviews. I got fighters
right.
that come on here, trainers. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. You just gotta stay consistent, bro,
yeah,
and not let up, man. Like that's the only advice I give anybody in this business. Like consistency, bro. It sometimes it beats talent, So keep doing what you're doing, bro. You're on the right path.
nah, definitely. I appreciate that. Like I said, you're an inspiration. Speaking of Turkey, man, you ever envision getting him on, man? That would be an excellent interview if you could get
Yeah,
Big
yeah,
Turk
yeah.
on,
It's in the works, bro. It's in the works.
bro. Oh, that's gonna be dope. That's gonna be dope. He's doing big things for the sport of boxing, man. Give me your thoughts on what he's doing, man. To me, as a fan, he's been a godsend, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's. I'm not gonna say anything that hasn't been already said. Obviously, this guy has poured a lot of money into the sport, which is one of the things that's needed to create big fights, and not only the fights and the fighters getting paid well, it's just the innovation of what he wants to bring to the sport. Like we all know what he's doing May 2nd in Times Square, something that's never been done. He is a fan first, which sometimes is what we need for execs to be less execs and understand the sport, right, from a fan's perspective, because that's your consumer. So he looks at it from the business side and also from the fan side, and this is which is why obviously all the promoters want to work with him. Everybody involved in the sport wants to be tied to him to some degree because he makes things happen. So I mean I can only say good things about Turkey, man. It's been a he's been a great, he ruffled some feathers, but sometimes that's what you have to do in this sport to make change. You know, people that have a selfish mindset and thinking that they're going to lose from it, they're going to be upset. But, look, Eddie has done a phenomenal job. Frank Warren, Oscar, obviously the zone, like they understand what he brings to the table, and they've aligned themselves with him. So I got nothing but good things to say about Turkey. Well, we plan on being a part of these some of his ring cards as well.
No, that's dope. That's dope, man. This whole thing with the league, I think it's interesting. I'm gonna let it play out to see what happens with it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the league with him and Dana White, that's something different. Like
Hmm.
I don't, I still have to digest it because there are things that I'm not sure are going to align based on Dana White's history and how he operates and how he structures things and the way Turkey has been treating fighters and how he um, cares about the fighter first, right? So I don't know if that's going to align. I'm not saying Dana doesn't care about his fighters, but there's a reputation there of the amount of revenue that that a fighter brings to the table and what they get paid from that, right? And obviously the limit that they have to make money outside the ring when it comes to sponsorship deals and advertisement. They can't wear anything. So it depends. If there's some happy medium, and a balance where, all right, this is not going to be like the UFC, but there's some components that are great about the UFC. Maybe they're not all great, and we remove those things, and the things that are good on the UFC, we'll implement that into this new idea with Turkey and Nick Khan and those guys. Um, it can be something great. We have to see it play out first.
You're right. It's different, and that's what has most boxing fans, on their heels. Like, what's going on here? Is this going to be the way UFC is? I actually, um, I actually interviewed Eddie Hearn live this past week in Orlando, and that was one of the questions I asked him because my biggest take out of that was, if Turkey's going to do something like that, why didn't he pick a traditional boxing person to be able to head that? He's already established relationships with Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, some of these other promoters. Why did he choose to go to a guy that obviously is not involved in boxing? He does UFC. Now, I think I know why, Ak,
Right.
because of the type of business model that he wants to put together. And Dana White has actually had a successful business model with the way
Of course.
UFC is.
Of course.
So I asked Eddie Hearn if that pissed him off.
Right.
And he basically said no, because he doesn't feel like that's boxing the way it's supposed to be.
It's not traditional. So
Right.
it's a business model that it's great for the company, right? Company would be very successful and very profitable from it, like the UFC has been. But we don't know. Let's not prejudge it. We don't know if it's going to be exactly like the UFC. Maybe Turkey just wanted somebody that is experienced putting the most successful league we've ever seen together, right? Um, one platform, one umbrella. You have to give credit to Dana for that. He has created a
Mhm.
beyond successful combat sport league, right? So maybe Turkey likes some of the things. We don't know what conversations are happening behind closed doors. Because I know Turkey does care about the fighters and cares about some tradition of the sport staying in place, right? So I don't know, and we just have to see and watch it play out.
It's going to be interesting. Another question I had was, in order for them to put the best fights together like they say they are, they're gonna have to cross promotion, right? They're gonna have to play nice in the sandbox with other promoters,
Of course. At
and then you
least with
got
this, at least with this active generation of fighters, right? You got to
correct.
understand their plan and working on prospects and getting great talent early on. That maybe in 20 years it'd be something. Um, 10, 15, 20 years, it'd be a league that's super successful with big stars in it. But the fighters that are stars today and active today, right? They're used to a certain structure and the way the business is ran. So it's going to be tough to get everybody to buy into that right
Right.
away. So for the next five, at least 5 to 8 years, there are fighters that are stars of the sport active today that are going to expect a certain amount of money to fight, and they have their respective teams and promoters that are also going to be involved in creating these fights. So yes, that league, if they want to work with active stars today that have already been signed to promotional companies, they'll have to work together. Now, if Dana and Turkey have ideas of grooming talent from the scratch and turning them into stars, being a part of that league, then yeah, that's a different conversation. And maybe at some point they won't have to work with anybody once the current fighters start to retire and fall off the map and not no longer fight no more. Maybe it's a long term play for them. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I'm just, that just sparked my attention because you got guys like Dana White. Like Dana White, realistically has made it known that he doesn't like Oscar De La Hoya,
Right.
right? So is he going to be willing to want to work with Oscar?
Yeah, I
We
mean, if there's certain fights that have to happen, he's being a part of it. Obviously, he'll have to work. He wouldn't have a choice. He's already admitted to not wanting to, but if he had to, he would. I mean, he's already kind of revealed that.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I'm curious to see how it plays out, man. Like anything else, I'm all for what's good for boxing, man. Whatever makes boxing a better sport. To me, it's the best sport in the world. But I've said this for a long time: boxing can be his own worst enemy.
Oh,
You
of
know,
course. Yeah.
especially as a fan sitting back, we just want to see the best fight the best. But one thing I do like about Jake Paul, and I want to slide him up in here, is
Mhm.
whether you love him or hate him, Ak, you gotta love what he's bringing to the sport, man. He's bringing more eyes to the sport, and he's putting people on.
Yeah, yeah.
Just announced the
There's
whole
actually no
evolution of
reason.
that.
There's actually no reason to hate Jake Paul. If you're a fight fan, there's no reason for you to hate Jake Paul.
I
Uh,
agree.
he's changed women boxing, and I don't want to give him all the credit because, Eddie has done a lot. Even Lou DiBella has done his share of putting women on the map. But Eddie, I think, kind of put it on a different level with Katie Taylor and other women. But obviously, Jake has taken it to a whole new level. What he did for Amanda Serrano, 7 division world champion, and turned her into a millionaire and a star. We all know whether you like the fight or not against Mike Tyson, over 100 million people were watching that card. Over
Yeah.
65 million people were watching Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. No boxing promoter, no network has ever put that many eyeballs on a prize fight card. So you have to tip your hat to him. And he's somebody that's taking a sport serious as an athlete as well. Whether you got to understand, like, people expect. Jake is a novice who started boxing 5 years ago, and people are expecting so much of him. When you look at guys that were decorated amateurs have been fighting since they were 7, 8 years old. Those guys' first 5 to 10 fights weren't any better than Jake's opponents, And these are guys that have been fighting their entire life, right?
Right.
And they were fighting dead bodies their first 10 fights, right? Now you talking about a guy who started boxing in his 20s, and you want him to fight, Tyson Fury and Canelo Alvarez. It doesn't make sense, right? And not to mention, he's fought guys, Anderson Silva was the guy that beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a former middleweight world champion. He beat him. The MMA fighters that he fought, yes, they were MMA fighters, but they were experienced combat athletes, right? And they brought an audience, right? So, you want him to fight professional fight. He's not fighting an average Joe, a dead body, or a journeyman. It's not going to be a big event. Nate Diaz is a big event. Anderson Silva is a big event, right? Those are big events, and that's what he's into making. And it just so happened that he was smart enough to understand like these MMA fighters are going to make this event bigger. And he fought when he fought the two professional fighters outside of Tommy Fury, August, I forget the guy's name, and then the guy in Puerto Rico. Nobody mentioned anything, right? Nobody said, "Oh, we want you to fight pro fighters." He did fight 3 guys that were legitimate professional fighters. Nobody's highlighting that. Why? So what do you want from the guy? He could have fought 10 dead bodies, journeymen. There were professional boxers, right? And had 10-0 and 10 knockouts. Then what would have been a problem? Oh, you're only fighting bumps. You can't, Jake has brought new eyeballs to the sport, and he's earned every dollar that he's made because he brings the revenue in, right? Because people say, oh, guys been fighting their whole life. They should be getting those purses. No, my man, that's not the way this business works, right? You bring revenue, you get paid. I don't care if you've been fighting for 100 years. If you don't put asses in seats or sell pay-per-views or bring awareness, you can't get paid what Jake is getting paid because you fought your whole life. No, this is a business before anything. So there's actually no reason for anybody to hate Jake. He's done nothing but great things for the sport, and I don't have no affiliation with Jake. Yes, we develop a good rapport, but, he was a guest on our first episode. But I've been in support of Jake from the beginning, before we've developed a relationship. Him and Akisa have done great things. So it's not like I'm on a payroll, MVP payroll, because you have a bunch of, social media trolls saying that. It's not the case at all. It's my genuine opinion about what the man brings to the sport.
No, I respect that, and I agree. I think he's good for the sport. Anything that brings more eyes to the sport is going to be good, and he does take boxing serious. I think the biggest criticism that I've heard from people, from viewers, from people that have logged on here is he says he wants to be a champion.
Right.
This comes from his mouth.
Right.
He says he wants to fight guys like Canelo. This comes from his mouth. Then you got to give us something better than 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Give us a top 10 contender. Not top 10. I'm sorry, not top 10, maybe top 20.
Right.
Somebody that we could say, wow.
Right, but all right.
He hasn't given us that wow.
Name me a guy in the top 20. Name me number 20 right now.
I can't.
You can't do it, right?
Not
Can
off
you
the
name
top
number 15? You can't really do it, right? Let's say cruiserweight. Who's 15th in the world in the IBF? You can't do it.
Right.
Can you tell me who's number 19 in the WBA?
No, I hear you.
Right. So what type of event will that be? Right? You're fighting a top 20 guy. For what? Jake is only into doing big events. It's not conducive to his path, right? Canelo could very well beat, obviously, Jake Paul. But how huge would Canelo and Jake Paul be? That fight was almost done, right? It was already there. And he would have probably made $100 million, right? It would have been such an intriguing event because so many people want to see Jake get knocked out, right? And he's saying he can beat Canelo. We all know how great Canelo is. So that's what people have to understand. It's not about, it's about the event. It's about the eyeballs. It's about what is going to move the needle. So fighting John Simpson, that's number 19 in the freaking WBC, right? It's not going to move the needle, unfortunately. So it's just a different path, man. It's a unique situation with Jake, and people have to accept it.
No, good.
Guess what? The fighters on the undercard, the professional boxers on the undercard, and the guys that you guys respect and want to see, like the Amandas and the Katie's, they are benefiting from it.
Absolutely.
They're benefiting from it.
I said that earlier, man. Guys like Lucas Body. I mean, even Shushu. Shushu was on that last card.
Mario Barrios. How many people are watching that fight? Millions. Do you think in any other scenario would 20, 30 million people be watching Barrios? No, it's never going to happen. It did that day.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Shout out to him, man, for signing Alicia Baumgartner, man. I'm interested to see how that works out. My guess is that she's gonna end up on that Amanda undercard in
Most
July,
likely.
which
Most
yes,
likely.
that's gonna be fire.
Great sign. Alicia is super talented and she's a star. I think it's a phenomenal move from Nikisa and Jake.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm here with Akin Reyes, my man. I got a question from one of my chat members that asked this earlier, so I want to make sure I ask it. If they're still on, hopefully. My man VINYC said, "Can you ask Ak what he does to stay in shape? I like hearing what kind of workouts people do to stay in shape."
Yeah, I mean, me just boxing is my sport. You know, I was a former amateur fighter, so nothing crazy, man. I do the basic lifting, two muscles a day, 5 day, 6 days a week, chest and buys, shoulders and back, leg and tries, and then my cardio's in the boxing gym, hitting the bag, shadow boxing, speed bag, basic, nothing crazy, man. It's more so in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? What you put into your body. That's the most important thing. Eating clean.
Absolutely, man. My man Weedy from the Boxing Voices in the building. Johnny and Ak, that's right, man. We in the building, bro. We doing it up here. What do you think about the Tank and Lamont Roach rematch that is supposedly going down June 21st? I don't know if it's official. I don't think it's official, but they're talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fight that warrants a rematch. I mean, there's no other way to lay it out. A lot of people felt Roach won. Tank is ready to prove that he's the better fighter, so everybody's interested in that rematch. Odds are going to be a lot closer than the last one was. Lamar proved that he belonged. The controversial knee has been front center. So I love it. I love the rematch. I think Tank is a phenomenal fighter. I think he's getting a little too much, hate because of this performance. Look, I thought it was typical Tank. I just thought Roach was ready for everything,
Yeah.
and he was able to take Tank's power. I think that's what made the fight what it was. Close fight. I'm excited for the rematch, man. So it's a hell of a performance, and I'm glad that Roach is getting all the attention that he deserves.
No, for sure, man. He did his thing. I wasn't happy about the first fight, and it had nothing to do with Roach. It just had more to do with I wanted to see Tank fights maybe Shakur. That's the fight that we all want to see, right? Two best in the lightweight division, maybe Tio.
Yeah,
So
but now after watching the first fight, nobody is upset with a rematch or
no,
seeing him against Roach again.
no, I'm
So
actually looking forward to that.
yeah, but that's
Say,
boxing, man. The theater of the unexpected.
did you think the athletic commission dropped the ball by not
Oh,
reversing that
well,
decision? They decided to stick with it.
yeah, 100%. I mean, first off, Willis dropped the ball. The referee dropped the ball.
Well, yeah,
He dropped the ball. He dropped the ball more so than anybody. I don't think Tank did anything wrong. I mean, he took a knee. Maybe he definitely shouldn't have went to the corner, but he said, "All right, I have to stop whatever's happening right now. Whether it's something, a jab that hit my eye, whether it was grease falling into my eye. Let me take a knee to stop this right now." He did the right thing. The ref is the one that dropped the ball, right? You're allowed to take a knee if you wanted to stop for a moment and take an 8 count. So I wouldn't say Tank did anything wrong. He did something that he's supposed to do. If you need shit to stop, like you need to take a knee. The referee should have made it a knockdown, and the commission, yeah. I read somewhere where the commission admit to it, being, saying that it should have been a knockdown. They admitted to that, but saying they won't overturn it is nuts to me.
right,
Like you
I,
better off saying that it shouldn't have been.
right,
Like you
exactly.
saying that it should have been, but I'm not gonna do anything about it is nuts. Nuts.
It's insane.
They overturned Ryan and Devin's fight, right? The same commission. The same commission. Unbelievable.
It's crazy, man. But at least we're getting but hopefully, like I said, I don't think it's official, but it looks like it's almost pretty much a done deal. To go down at in June in Vegas. But again, the fight that I've always wanted to see at lightweight is him and Shakur. I'm a big Shakur fan, Ak.
Yeah, so
I
am I.
gotta be honest, man. I get a lot of hate about it
Yeah. I mean,
because
so do I, man. Shakur's a, you know, one thing about me and Barack, we've never shied away from admitting that we're biased at times. I'm a human being. Everybody is biased. Every sports analyst, every broadcaster, they won't admit it. They won't say it out loud, right? But in this business, you develop friendships with people, right?
Absolutely.
It's just a natural thing. If you know
Absolutely.
us, you know how close we are with Terrence Crawford, right? Everybody knows. There's fighters that are mature about it. Even, that's why Errol Spence is one of my favorite people in the sport. I was in Dallas and I went into Errol's gym to talk to see Derek James, and Errol's he's been on our show before. He's been a friend to the show. But even going into this gym, he said, "Yo, bro, I know you're going with Bud, but you still my guy. Dap me up. We had a great conversation in the gym." He's one of those guys that isn't sensitive and is a realist. A lot of other fighters are, but you're going to be biased at times. We've developed great relationships with Canelo Alvarez, Anthony Joshua, Terrence Crawford, Danny Garcia, Shakur Stevenson. So you're going to naturally lean towards the guy that you develop a friendship with. It is what it is. I don't shy away from that. I don't care. I get paid to give my opinion, not to like who you like or not to broadcast the way you want me to broadcast. I don't have to listen. You're listening to me, and I'm speaking to the fans that tell me I have to be a certain way. I can break down and analyze a fight, and if I pick a guy, it's because that's who I think is going to win. It's not because I'm hating on the other guy. You have to pick a side. You have to pick a side at some point, right? And fans have to understand that. But yes, we do have closer relationships with some fighters. It just is what it is.
I'm glad you said that because again, people don't understand that because I'm establishing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I have a good relationship, close relationship with Edgar Berlanga.
Right.
A lot of people hate Edgar Berlanga, right? But I support him because he shows me love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this business is about relationships, bro.
It's
I'm gonna
about
tell you right
relationship.
now, a sound bite that goes viral because you want to embarrass a fighter or you want to burn a bridge to get one video to do numbers, it's not worth it. We've been in this business and we've reached amazing heights by being respectful and diplomatic. It doesn't mean we're not honest and we don't give our true opinion, but we do it with class and respect, and we don't burn bridges. Because trust me, there will be a time or fighters don't ever forget anything. And they'll come and say, "I remember what you did and what you said. Nah, I'm sorry, I can't give you an interview." Right? So it's better to be diplomatic and give your opinion with respect. But if you want to try to say some hot, slick shit just to get a viral clip, you're not going to win in this business.
Not my style, man. And this is why I appreciate you. You're right, man. It is a respect, and that's why I show all fighters respect. And you can say what you want. Well, he doesn't ask the toughest questions. I ask the questions that I feel are good questions to ask. You also got to understand that these fighters are human beings.
Yo, my questions that ain't tough to the fans has brought me all around the world.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But yeah, so I get,
I have world championship belts that the fighters get in my home, right? From stuff that you dream about as a kid of getting from the WBA, the WBO, the WBC. Barack and I hosted the opening ceremony in Uzbekistan, Central Asia, for the WBC, and was awarded a WBC championship belt with our pictures on it, right? By not asking the tough questions that you guys want me to ask.
Oh man, you nailed it, bro. I'm gonna continue to be myself. That's who I am, And
Do
like I
that.
said, the most important thing about me is, not only are the view. Obviously, I care about the viewers, but I also care about the relationships that I'm building.
Exactly.
That's what I mostly care about. That's what I'm near and dear to because that's gonna help me grow, my brand. But yeah, people throw shade at me because of that. They throw shade over the Shakur thing because I don't think he's boring like other people think he's boring. I think he's actually. I love watching
Yeah,
Shakur fight. I don't think
Shakur is
it's
a
boring at all.
phenomenal talent. He's a generational talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I will pick him to beat Tank if they fight. That's just me. But
Shakur might be the most skilled boxer in all of boxing. So, you know, yeah, you just got to watch it play out, man. He'll fight the big fights. He'll fight the big fights.
one question I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, which I should have asked you earlier, is if you could go back in time and interview any fighter in the past Who would that fighter be?
Muhammad Ali.
Didn't know you would say that, but I'm not surprised that you did, man. I'm not surprised that you did. Who are your favorite fighters in the past? Fighters that inspired you?
Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker is my favorite of all time.
Really? All right,
Yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
up.
Felix Tito Trinidad is obviously an icon for our people. I actually interviewed him a couple of months ago.
I saw that at the
Yeah,
convention, right?
yeah. Should be
Yep.
coming out soon though, because
Yeah.
it's an evergreen interview. So might come out on All the Smoke. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, in this era, I've interviewed everybody. So, but in the past, I would say, Sweet Pea, what was one of my favorites, Roy, who's I've worked with several times, right? So, uh, I love Wilfredo Benitez. He's fought before my time, somebody that I would love to chat with. I mean, there's so many greats, man. Like I've interviewed some of the old time, the Lennox Lewis, who in my opinion is probably top two best heavyweights ever, in my opinion, Lennox Lewis. So I've had an opportunity to interview him. I've sat down with Mike Tyson, more than one time. So we did an exclusive sit down with him in Uzbekistan. That was somebody I've always wanted to talk to. I got a chance to do it, So yeah, man, I'm blessed, man. Ali is he's beyond an inspiration. Is somebody that I met when I was 13 years old at a Don King fight. He was already, getting bad with the Parkinson's, but he gave me an autographed dollar. I'll never forget it. I met him, but always been an inspiration to me. So if I could have a conversation with anybody, even with the cameras off and not an interview, it would be Ali.
That's dope. That's dope, man. I love it, man. These are the questions I like to ask, man. These are the questions I like to ask. I'm going to ask you a couple more because I know you got to get out of here soon, probably, man.
Yeah, I gotta go. Get ready for a big day tomorrow. So, but I'm here. You can ask me. Go ahead.
You sure, man? I don't want to
Yeah,
keep you up.
no. Go ahead. Shoot whatever ideas you had, bro. We all good.
No, I just wanted to ask you if there was 3 fights that you can wave the magic wand and make, man. What are those 3 fights?
Of active fighters today.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we're getting one in September, hopefully, which Bud and Canelo, Shakur and Tank, obviously, and man, I probably right now I would, and I've been talking about this fight, and it might not be realistic, but I would love if Inoue came, down to 118 because I know he's at 122 now. And I would love Bam Rodriguez to go up to 118 from 115. I would love to see Bam versus Inoue at 118 pounds. Bam is one of my favorite fighters in all of boxing. I
Yeah,
love
man.
Bam Rodriguez. He's an exceptional talent and so fun to watch. He's in my top 3 favorite fighters today.
That's dope, man. Yo, I love Bam too. That would be a good fight. I don't know if that happens, like you said, because of the whole weight thing. I think it's more
That would
likely.
be that's a dream fight to me, though.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that maybe Inoue moves up to 126.
Oh yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. But I don't think anybody gives him a challenge the way Bam does.
Now, for sure. Is there any? What about any prospects that you like right now? Let me be your top 3.
I would say, I mean, this guy's not a prospect, so I'll give you one. My favorite prospect is Abdullah Mason. Abdullah Mason, exceptional talent.
Yep.
He's gonna do very well, very well. And I like the guy who's not a prospect, but the heavyweight man that just beat Zhang, and he had beat Frank Sanchez before Caballero. He's a
Caballero.
monster, bro. That dude's a beast.
He did what he needed to do that last card, man.
Yeah, he's a savage, bro. A lot of talent out there, but in terms of the future, skilled all around, I would say Abdullah Mason.
Dope, man. Well, listen, man. Like I said, this was dope, man. It was like one of those that I've been trying to put on the agenda. I finally made it happen. You didn't disappoint.
Man. Yeah, you stay persistent, and I appreciate that. And I'm sorry, for not getting back at times. I got so much going on, but I knew I had to get this done. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You got back to me, and that means a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you made it happen. You made the time, so I appreciate you. I want to tell you that anybody that comes to the Hangout spot, they family.
No
So
doubt.
you family, you are welcome back anytime. Hopefully, I could get you back at some point down the road. I love your boxing
For real.
perspectives. I love
Thank you,
your
man.
shit.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll definitely be back on, man. I appreciate you.
Nah, I appreciate you, man.
Peace and love, man. Enjoy your
Take
evening.
care. Good luck. Keep putting that content out. You know I'm gonna be following you, bro.
No doubt. Peace.
All right, man. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The great Akin Reyes from originally the Akin Barak show on the Zone. Now they got their own show that they're doing on all the smoke fights, and it's called Ring Champs with Akin Barak, and they're putting out some great interviews. The first one that they did was with Jake Paul, and then they did a fabulous interview with Tiafimo where they actually addressed, a lot of the racial stuff that concern people about Tiafimo with the stuff that he's been saying, the way he's been acting. They actually addressed that and got Tio to open up about that and somewhat apologize for it as well. So great content. They got Ryan Garcia. I saw a 5-minute clip of that Ryan Garcia interview that they did, and it was fantastic. That comes out tomorrow. That's dropping tomorrow on Ring Champs on YouTube. So make sure y'all check that out. Subscribe, but more importantly, you know the deal. You subscribe here too, man. This is how we do it up here at the Hangout Spot. Tell a friend to tell a friend, because this is how we do. We got guests. We got some of the best guests, and we continue to grow this platform. We're gonna need some more subscribers, some more members, passengers on this train, and turn it into a locomotive. It's all about street cred here. If we can get some more subscribers, we will get the bigger names, so I can deliver the best content for my viewers out there. This was a phenomenal interview. I came on a little bit late, but that's okay for those of you guys that actually hung out with me. I appreciate that. I thought it was a fantastic interview. I was engulfed with it. Again, Ak is one of them dudes that inspired me to do this because I love the way he does it. I love his professionalism. He's put out great content, but more importantly, great delivery in that content. I call him a real one. And he gave me the time of day and came on, and hopefully I can get him back on here again. But I appreciate you guys rocking out with me as well. We got True Power Media. What's going on? Thanks for rocking out with us. Salute from H-Town. We here from Houston. My man Manuel LG from TBV. Salute to you, brother. Thanks for rocking out. MB, man, thanks for rocking out, man. I know, again, the interview was a little bit late, but we got it done. Wishing you could continue success. Ak, I'm sorry I didn't put that up while he was out there, but Ak is definitely doing his thing. VINYC, I did ask you a question. Hopefully you were here to hear it. If not, I definitely want you to watch the recording. Tank was looking for Ak at the post-fight press conference. Zoro de la Vega, my man Alex Vega, salute to you, man. Thanks for coming in and supporting. You know what I'm saying? Weedy, I'm sorry, man. I came on late, and I did have him on for almost an hour, and it was late. He's got a long day. So I didn't really go through the interview. I didn't go through the questions in the chat. So I apologize to my chat. Usually I like to get y'all involved. But this was kind of different. Like I said, I did an hour show basically just talking about boxing news, and then I jumped on late. So it kind of threw off my rhythm a little bit. But this is how we do, man. We make adjustments and we keep going, man. We keep going. But when we get them on next time, man, I'll make sure that we get it right and we get the chat questions involved. Great interview. Thank you, Lisa Snow. I appreciate you for rocking out. If you are a new viewer, I appreciate the love and support. Make sure you subscribe. Tell somebody else. I love seeing new viewers in the chat. I love to get my chat involved. Again, this was a little bit different because I was getting the chat involved when I was talking, but then when I came on, I kind of want to give him his time to talk and me ask his questions. I had a lot of questions lined up. In fact, I had some questions that I actually didn't ask, but and it was only because of lack of time. Like I said, I didn't want to keep him here another half hour. It is, a little bit past 11 o'clock, Eastern Standard Time. But again, I'm gonna get him back on, man. I'm gonna make sure I get him back on. He's doing big things in the world of boxing. Big things in the world of boxing. I definitely appreciate him. Manuel LG, what's going on, champ? Appreciate you, TBV family. Ak is a true professional. He absolutely is, man. I love what he's doing. I love what he's doing, and he inspires me to continue to do what I'm doing so that I can grow, and get get bigger and better at my craft. Ak Ramadan Mubarak, great interview. Johnny VI NYC, you did stay along, man. I appreciate you. I thought it was a great interview, even though it started late. It was absolutely awesome. It was everything that I expected it to be. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But if you didn't get a chance to see the entire interview, make sure you check it out. The recording will be on the Hangout spot on that channel. You can check it out right after this. It'll be available for everybody to watch. Share it. Make sure you share it. Like it, because even if you watch it on recording, anytime you hit that like button, it will still help get this channel out into the algorithm of other boxing fans so they know we rock out every Tuesdays, Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we may be looking to do a third show on Wednesday nights. I'll keep you guys posted on that. Let's not forget, too, next month we're looking at doing call-in shows. So instead of putting your comments in the chat, I'm going to have a number out there. We're going to have people call in the show and give their opinions on previews, predictions, recaps, fight recaps. I want to get my community involved. We're trying to develop a community here at the Hangout spot. So that's going to be coming in the works. And but yeah, Thursday I haven't secured a guest yet. I was looking at potentially Amari Jones, who just won his pro debut, Olympic bronze medalist, just won his pro debut in Orlando. I'm trying to work on him. Potentially I'll get him here. If not, we'll pivot. We'll try to get somebody else. But at the end of the day, if we don't worry. Even if I'm solo here, I'm not solo in the chat. So as long as you guys come out in the chat, we could talk boxing. We could preview Saturday's cards. You know, the fight's on Saturday. I'll get the chat involved. It's still going to be a phenomenal show. You know how we do it up here at the Hangout spot. But I'm going to tap out, man. It's been a long one. I appreciate everybody for hopping on and staying aboard for the interview. Again, this is how we do it up here at the Hangout spot. Appreciate the love and support. This is your boy Johnny signing out from the Hangout spot live, and I'll talk to everybody Thursday night.